this is what I do. People are free to call me anytime, and we can talk about your particular situation and what's the best for you. And don't ever get confused. The client should always recognize that they are the driver and everybody else is merely tools to help you get where you're going. So, but you need guidance sometimes to help you learn just what you can do, and then you can make a qualified decision.
Welcome to Home Green Homes Podcast. I am Izumi Tanaka, a green home advisor and a green realtor. Here I invite a variety of experts in the world of green homes and have conversations about how we can all live in healthy, resilient, and efficient homes. My guests provide insight in a wide range of topics, from designing, building, and living in green homes, purchasing or financing green homes and improvements, to how we can live to reduce the negative environmental impact from the way we live. My goal is to inspire and inform you about how we can make a difference in our own lives and our environment. Well, hello everyone. I am Izumi Tanaka with Home Green Homes with my podcast, Home Green Homes. I have today a guest, Mike Young, who is a 203K consultant. Well, we're going to ask what this 203K consultant is. And Mike, thank you so much for coming today with me. And let's just dive right in. Tell me about who you are, first of all, and what you do as a 203K consultant.
Thank you. I'm pleased that you invited me. Anyway, what is a 203K consultant? I'm going to go back a little bit in history. FHA started loaning, or not loaning money, but started their FHA program in 1933. And they noticed by 1961 that not enough of our houses were being renovated. The existing housing stock was dying. So they created the FHA 203K. And if I asked 1,000 realtors when the FHA 203K was created, they would probably, a good percentage, maybe 95% would say 2005. But that's not the case. In 1994, HUD came to a guy by the name of Ken Crandall, who worked at HUD, and said, find out why more people aren't using this wonderful program. So Ken realized very quick that nobody wanted to read the manual or the changes to the manual because they were just too much reading for most people. All right, so in 1994, he said, why don't we have consultants that read that book and know the changes, and then the homeowner doesn't have to do that. So he created consultants in 1994. So if I calculate that right, that's what, about 24 years ago. So the consultants in this nation that tell you they've been consulting for 30 years, I don't know, it's not been around that long. But anyway, as far as an energy auditor, we're not. We don't look at that. However, there is an interesting concept or an interesting part of the program where you can do an energy efficient mortgage piggyback to an FHA 203K. So an FHA 203K is exactly the same as a standard FHA 203B, plus it has a renovation or remodeling aspect to it. So once the 203K work is complete, the loan then becomes a 203B when it goes into the being resold on the secondary market. So you asked me who my target clients are. We get calls from homeowners, buyers, and real estate agents, as well as lenders but technically the lender is supposed to choose us. I'm going to give you a short story. Not too long ago, I was asked to do a consultation. The lender said, we already have a bid from the contractor. It's $187,000. All we need you to do, Mr. Young, is go see the property and write up your report. And I laughed to myself, and it's not the way we work. A consultant is supposed to go out to the property and help the borrower create a scope of work. Once he has that scope of work, that consultant is supposed to bid that job. So before a general contractor ever gets out there, the homeowner has that power, that information in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
That is all powerful. So in this case, they already had a bid. So I visited the property, talked with the homeowner. We added a few more things they wanted, although she said, we can't really afford to go anymore. And I said, trust me, we're going to get all this added in and it won't cost you any more.
Mm.
Then I went back to my office and I used the contractor's bid. I added the few things. I used his bid only for the scope of work, not for his costs, not for his bid. And then I bid the job myself and added in, I don't know, half a dozen other things that needed to be done for health and safety. And I couldn't get over 86,000. Now his bid was 187. Had I just followed the instructions, and believe me, there are a bunch of consultants out there that charge the same fee we do and don't have a clue. They couldn't bid a job if the earth was going to die if they couldn't. It's just not going to happen. They don't know what they're doing, but they charge the same fees we do. And when I called the contractor, before I told the homeowner, I called the contractor and I said, look, I was very loose and gave you every benefit of the doubt, but I need your help. I need to understand where your 187,000 is being spent, because on a room addition this size, I just don't see it. The contractor says, what did you bid it at? I said, I was generous and I couldn't get over 86,000. You were 187,000. The next words shocked me. He said, I'll do it for 86.
Wow.
So had I just done what the lender suggested, these poor people would have lost $101,000 of their equity to some contractor who turned out to be pretty good after all. But what happened was the contractor was very busy when they came to him. So he just threw a bunch of numbers out there on purpose high. It's scary, especially when you see that a bunch of people have been trained, a bunch of consultants were mistrained to believe they should get a contractor bid first. And they don't know how to bid, so they get the contractor's bid and then just copy it to their software.
Right.
And that's not the way it's done. Go ahead.
Now, I like to go back a little bit about the loan itself. You, as you said, that FHA 203K has been around for a long time, but I don't think too many people know about it. And you also mentioned that energy efficiency mortgage can be a part of 203K. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So,
in fact,
please go ahead.
I'm sorry. We had a job where the homeowner was supposed to close escrow on December 27th of 1 year. He went out and charged his credit cards up and bought $8,000 worth of gifts. I don't think I've ever bought $8,000 worth of gifts for Christmas for my children, all told, in all the 45 years they've been here. So anyway, he did this, and the lender told him, you just messed up your ratios. We can't make the loan. But I tell all my customers, if anything looks odd or falls through, call me. Let me look at it. And this homeowner called me and said, I charged $8,000 on my credit cards and I can't get the loan. And I said, let me take a look. And I looked at that loan and I noticed he's putting in dual pane windows, which is an energy efficient item. Putting lots of insulation. There was no insulation in this house. And what else? He put in something else. I can't think of what it might have been, but anyway, he put in a lot of energy efficient stuff.
Mhm.
So I calculated that energy efficient stuff and I told him, I said, we're okay. I think I just need to talk to the lender. I called the lender and his name was Rob, R-O-B. And I said, Rob, if we take this thing and make it piggyback an energy efficient mortgage, we can save the borrowers $8,000. And knowing that number was all important to me because we had $10,000 worth of energy efficient stuff. And when I told Rob that, he says, oh my God, I forgot all about that. They closed on the 28th instead of the 27th.
Wow. So my understanding of EEM, the energy efficient mortgage, is that the debt to income ratio can be a little bit higher with EEM. Is that how this individual qualified?
That is exactly how. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So as a 203K consultant, so your job, I understand from what you just told me, is to know about the 203K loan and how it works, and you keep up with all the different changes that happens over time, and be able to consult the buyers, investors, and whatnot who are about to either purchase or refinance to help them find the right solution. Is that correct? Is that how am I interpreting it correctly?
I think you have it. Yes.
Yeah. So as a consultant, I heard you say that you visited the home. Are you the one that actually conduct the inspection?
I do, but I'm 74, and right now all I'm doing is helping a lot of other people.
Mm-hmm.
I just did one in New Mexico. I've
Mm-hmm.
done several in Kansas because they were more than 500 miles away from the closest consultant and couldn't get one. I've been doing this since 1994 and I'm approved in all states. Most consultants are approved in the state they live in,
Mm-hmm.
but we have a special approval because we've been doing it so long and because we have a relationship with HUD.
I see.
But yes, we're out to the house. I typically bring all the forms that the lender is required to give the homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
And I go over them because so many lenders hand the borrower a package of maybe 25 pages and said, here, read this and be ready to sign it at escrow.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the way we do business. So I take those with me and I walk the client through those forms, showing them which things they need to make particular attention or pay particular attention to. And then we mark those up so that they understand you need to pay attention to this. You need to pay attention to that. And then we give those pages to them. And I tell them, I said, if you have any questions at all, check with your lender. And if they don't know the answers or don't have time, feel free to call me. But it's their responsibility to give these to you and to explain them to you. But I'm happy to do it if they don't know how to do it. Or the biggest holdup with a 203K, and realtors all think 203Ks take longer to close. That is a fallacy. If they take longer to close, it's because you have a lender who is micromanaging everybody else. And it just can't be done that way. I had a wonderful gal call me one day from South Carolina. I was living in North Carolina at the time. In case you're going to ask, I live in Las Vegas, Nevada now.
Okay.
But anyway, we were in she asked me, what do I have to be the best 203K loan officer in the Carolinas? And I told her, all you have to do is race me to the finish line. And she said, what? How do I do that? And I said, well, how long does it take you to close a 203B loan, the standard FHA loan? She confessed she closes those in 15 to 21 days. And that's pretty good. I've
Yes,
not
it
heard of a
is.
lot of people that can do that. 28 days, everybody can do that, a 203B. She could do it in 21 days to 15 to 21 days. That's amazing. So I told her, I said, if you do your part, I'm going to give you 100% of the paperwork you need to add to your part to make it a 203K. And she got puzzled again. She said, well, so what do you mean race you to the finish line? I said, get your 203B paperwork completed. By the time you have that completed, I should have my job completed. Now, yes, there are some that take a little longer. Don't get me wrong. Not every one is going to close like this one did, but it was over $100,000 in construction. She closed her first full 203K in 21 days.
And when you go from 203K to 203B, is there a whole similar underwriting process, or can it be automatically converted to 203B?
It's pretty much, well, the 203B is where it ends up after the work is done.
Right.
But in
Oh,
the
I see.
meantime, but the 203K paperwork is the 203B paperwork plus what we do.
I see.
That's all it is. And
Mhm.
if you let us do it, if you rely on a team that knows what they're doing to get that paperwork together, then all you have to do as a loan officer is worry about the 203B part.
Now,
Go ahead.
Mike, so 203K consultant as yourself, or the people that you have in your network, are they also then licensed as an inspector, or because it sounds like you are conducting the inspections yourselves, but you're also acting as a consultant. So is that a two different trades, or is it kind of one or the other? How does that work? And is that different from different states?
That's a good question. I've been a home inspector for, I don't know, 45 years. It's a long time. My company was called Home Inspection Specialists. But in 1998, I realized that I had 15 home inspectors working for me. Actually, they were consultants. And I was making more money doing the 203K, and I felt I was touching the customers better. I was reaching them and helping them save money, not letting them get ripped off by an unscrupulous teammate or team member. I'm a Libra, and I just have a tendency to want to be fair to everybody and take care of home buyers, whether they're first-time home buyers or seasoned home buyers. It makes no difference. So today, after 2009, HUD came out with the idea that let's make all consultants home inspectors. So they passed a rule at HUD that said we had to be home inspectors. Well, in Texas, home inspectors have to be licensed, and contractors don't have to be licensed. To me, that's backwards, but California is different. I was a California home inspector, still am. One thing that I used to do is I always had a trainee with me, because we have about an hour to an hour and a half at the site, and I have to find everything that's wrong. So I always took an associate with me. They could be out of state. It didn't matter where they were from. If they were learning, they might come with me, go out on the job, and I tell them, do your own inspection. I want to see what you come up with. And then when it came time to do the consultation and go over the paperwork, they would sit there and watch me too. So they would learn how to do that. But that's kind of where we are. Go ahead.
So this inspection, when you do, does that include the energy audit? Like you mentioned earlier, this particular home didn't have insulation and such. So do you actually include the energy audit? Because if the home is old, it's likely it's, leaky, correct?
We do not perform that duty. However,
Okay,
we ask that you have an energy auditor come in and do that inspection. They
I
will
see.
give us a list of the things they want to see improved in order to meet their new energy standard.
Mhm.
And then we take those things and put them into our scope of work and we identify them in our software. We can identify which things are energy related according to the energy auditor. And in doing so, I can take those items and remove remove those dollars up to 5% of the cost of the house or
Mm.
the
Mhm.
building up to 4
Mhm.
units. So in doing that, then we qualify the people for the loan. And if they qualify, then we put those things back in and close the loan.
I see.
So they
I
get those things done, but they don't have to, they feel the way the energy efficient mortgage is, it's felt that they will save that much on energy every year to warrant a lower mortgage.
Right. So I saw that on your website as well, but I am aware of other programs that Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae offer, Green Choice and Home Style. Do you work with those loans as well?
Absolutely. I just happened to be in 1995 in Washington, D.C., when
Hmm.
Fannie Mae introduced 600 lenders and me and 30 others consultants that were there.
Hmm.
They introduced the home style. You do not have to use a home style loan. And when he said that, I about fell over in my chair. I raised my hand and I said, I have a question. And he says, sure. I said, you just told 600 of my clients that they don't need me for the home style loan. The guy got rather embarrassed. He said, I have not written the final paperwork on it yet, but I am going to add you, you can use a consultant, though you don't need to. We
Mm.
have a lot of lenders that won't do a FHA or a Fannie Mae or a Freddie Mac without a consultant because we are the eyes and your ears on the job. And if your loan officer or your loan company is in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the house is in Barstow, California, you can't see it. You need somebody on your team that's going to look at that house and
Mhm.
see what it is that really needs.
Right. So you are basically a liaison between the lenders and the borrowers, correct?
That's a nice way to say it. Yes.
Yeah, no. So do you have like a network of lenders that you work with all the time throughout the country, or um, and do you have network of other consultants like yourself that you trained throughout the country? Because you're in Vegas, obviously you can't go tomorrow to Florida to inspect or talk to a homeowner or a borrower.
Yes, I do. We have we if a consultant gets in this business and ties himself to one lender, he will never, he better be a home inspector too.
Right.
He'll never make enough money to live on with the K. So I have approximately 300 associates nationally, consultants that work with me, not for me. Uh, then we have about 250 to 300 loan officers. When I say a lender, quite often, I mean, I went into one company years ago. We do lender training as well, where we come out and give training in your office or via Zoom or something like that, and teach them how to do what they need to do in a 203K to make it close faster. So what happens? We ended up going to do a training once in, I think it was in Santa Cruz, California, for Santa Cruz lending. They had about 8 loan officers in the room. We give them a 4-hour training. And it's funny that those loan officers a year later were all doing business with us. And one of them took a job somewhere else. He took us with him. And another one took a job with somebody else yet, and they took us with them. So that's the way you grow our business, as these guys go to other places and the people at their new place see how effective their 203K is. They ask, well, who's the consultant you're using? And then we gain traction that way. Currently, like I say, we have about 250, maybe 280 lenders, loan officers. Many of them have changed places. Many of them have changed places. I know one fellow that I give a lot of work to when I can, and that is he worked with Prospect Mortgage. Then he moved over to another lender, and then he moved over to another one. Most recently, he moved over to his fifth change. But I keep going to him because he understands the process. He understands to let the team function. You have to have a plan, a play in motion, and let the team work that play. I'm going to tell you a secret. The 203 on my blog, by the way, I'll let you tell them my website if you choose to. But on my blog, one of the favorite properties I do is taking warehouses and turning them into live work. Under the 203K, you can do that. Or taking a 5-unit building and turning it into a 203K with 4 residential units and an office or something like that, because the zoning is the same. If it's 6 or 7 units, I've taken an 8-plex and turned it into 3 4-bedroom units and 1 3-bedroom unit. Or was it? Maybe it was 3 3-bedroom units and 1 4-bedroom. I don't remember now. It's been a while. But it was 8 units that was vacant and deteriorated and shot. So going to the county in that case and saying, hey, we can renovate this, but can we turn it into 4 units? And they said, please do anything with it, but it's an eyesore right now. So getting those changes happen very quickly, and you don't have to pay $1,000 to get it before a zoning meeting. In many cases, they're so desirous to get that house renovated or get that building off of the dreg list and onto the providing taxes list.
Now, I like to kind of go back. Thank you so much for that story, because I think it's very telling. I want to ask you. You said in the beginning when the HUD decided that to create consultants like yourself, you mentioned how there are so many old homes that are kind of running out of inventory or something to that effect. Now, I am looking at, as a green realtor, and I'm also a regenerative real estate agent, what I would like to see more is to have all these old homes that are aging. Now we have, especially in California, we have many homes that are built in the 50s and 40s, 50s, and 60s that are starting to really deteriorate. And I see many investors just taking them down, building new. But what I would love to see more is to have those older homes being renovated to become more energy efficient and to become more in my world healthier or greener. What are the advantage of using what you do, 203K loans or any other Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae products that are out there? What are the advantage for the buyers or investors? I mean, are the rates competitive, and how can they most take advantage of the programs that's available for us?
Well, you know, as you improve the energy on an older home, you're also improving the value of that home. So, and the FHA works on any house that's over 1 year old. So yes, 60s, 50s, 60s, 40s, 50s, 60s houses are prime for what we do. You know, I don't know how to relay. It's an exciting program. You can add value to your house. You can do it. And what's the difference between a Fannie Mae and a 203K? Well, FHA requires private mortgage insurance. Now on a $600,000 purchase, and then the renovation, or maybe a $400 purchase, $400,000 purchase and a $200,000 renovation, they're talking $500 a month in PMI.
Mm.
So if you've got a little money to put down, you go home style, Fannie Mae, you can get out of PMI.
Does this loan make sense still in the markets like California, Los Angeles, San Francisco, or those where the home values are much higher than most of the rest of the country? Would this still make sense to utilize this loan?
Sure. And a lot of the people in the Los Angeles, San Francisco area are internet people. They have lots of cash, lots of cash. So they can put down less money by utilizing the loan for a portion of that.
Right.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be whole. You can just partially finance the process.
Yeah, that's right.
Nice.
This is what I do. People are free to call me anytime, and we can talk about your particular situation and what's the best for you. And don't ever get confused. The client should always recognize that they are the driver and everybody else is merely tools to help you get where you're going. So, but you need guidance sometimes to help you learn just what you can do, and then you can make a qualified decision.
So the buyers or borrowers, whether it's individual home buyers or investors, they should first contact you and consult with you about what they can afford, and then start the process of looking. Is that the first thing that they should be doing?
That was certainly one way. We do have investor loans. The
Okay.
FHA 203K is not one of them.
Mhm.
You have to be an owner occupied, but you can get up to a fourplex.
So tell us how we can find you. Anybody who's interested in learning more about how 203K works, or any other loans that you can work with, how can people find you?
Well, the easiest way is my website. It's full of information, and it's at www.203konline.com. It's 203konline.com. Otherwise, my phone is always available, 916-758-1809. But I'm 74. I've made my millions. I'm set for life. I've got a wonderful wife. My golf is helping people achieve their goals.
Congratulations. Well, I have to concur. Indeed, you on your website you have a lot of helpful information, and I encourage anybody to go check it out. Well, thank you so much, Mike, for your time and all that helpful information and practical information. I'm really grateful to have this under my belt so that I can tell my clients and my associates all about you and what 203K can do.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yes, this was Izumi Tanaka with Home Green Homes. Until next time.